What's going on there, YouTube, and welcome back to another comic book video. Okay, guys, so we are going to continue our coverage over Mark Waid's Daredevil run, where we actually pick up with the second storyline in Volume 1. Now, with that being said, this is still Mark Waid right now, trying his best to give us a fresh start for the character in the year 2011. And what I mean by that is, in the early 2000s up to 2010, 2011, our boy Matt Murdock went through a lot, thanks to Brian Michael Bendis' run, Ed Brubaker's run, and of course Shadowland. And so with those different kind of storylines, Matt Murdock went through a lot. He was literally dragged through the mud. And so when it came to Mark Waid's run, he's more saying, let's not try to drag Matt Murdock through the mud so much. Instead, let's drag other characters in the mud, but have Matt Murdock be there to kind of help them out of the mud, to kind of give us more light-hearted storylines, but also give Matt Murdock a better life as well, because Homeboy had lost a lot of different things thanks to Bendis and Brubaker. And so again, this is Mark Waid right now saying, here is a fresh new start for the character, a light-hearted start for the character. And so getting into today's storyline, we actually do pick up right now with Daredevil actually going after a mobster. Now, when it comes to this mobster, he's technically minor for the overall storyline, but I still want to cover this for a very important reason. But we actually do pick up right now with Matt Murdock going after a guy known as Darius Giacomo, and I really hope I pronounced that last name correctly. Now, when it comes to Darius, like I said, he is a mobster, and right now he's technically involved in some kind of court case that also involves a current client of Matt Murdock. And so right now you have Matt Murdock going as Daredevil, chasing down Darius to hopefully get a USB drive that could actually help Matt Murdock's client win their case. Now here's the thing though, because when we actually do jump into the book, it's right now Darius throwing the USB into a lion's den at the Bronx Zoo. Now of course, for Matt Murdock, he is not scared at all. This man's kind of like, oh, please listen, lions, that right there doesn't scare me at all. Things I faced in my past are a whole lot scarier than this right here right now. And so of course you do have Matt Murdock actually dive into the lion's den to grab the USB. Now he barely does escape, but right after he does escape, he does find Darius and he does take down Darius as well. And so for our boy Matt Murdock, this is a great night. Got the USB and also caught the bad guy as well. Now, the reason why I'm focusing so heavy on the idea of Matt Murdock chasing after Darius to get some kind of USB is to remind us that right now, when it comes to Matt Murdock, he cannot technically be a lawyer in New York. And the reason why, because thanks to Matt Murdock technically being Daredevil, and word got out there that, hey, he is Daredevil, every single time Matt Murdock walks into a courtroom, well, his opponent tried their best to technically ruin Matt Murdock's chances of winning the case, because the whole idea of him being Daredevil is actually a real problem when it comes to the courtroom. And so ever since then, you have Matt say, listen, I cannot be in the courtroom to help win these cases. What I can do is actually teach my clientels to how to speak in the courtroom. And when I do that, they'll be able to actually win their case without an actual lawyer there to represent them. And so ever since the last storyline, you have Matt Murdock doing that right there, helping out different people who technically needs help, and Matt Murdock knows that they're innocent and their case is an easy win. But on top of that, saying, I'm going to teach you how to basically talk through your actual court date or your court session. Either way though, we kind of find out the USB that he got was to help a clientele beat Darius in a courtroom. And of course, he was able to win. And so this is the new status quo for Matt Murdock right now at this point in Marvel Comics. Yes, he is a lawyer, but technically right now, he's helping other people win their cases without him actually representing them. And so then we actually pick up with Matt Murdock and Foggy Nelson. Now when we do, it's actually right now the two characters working out in their gym, they put a gym in their office building. Either way right now, while you have the two characters actually working out, you did have Foggy express some concerns that he's having right now about the idea of what him and Matt are actually doing, which is again, right now teaching people how to win their court cases without having a lawyer there to represent them. And the reason why Foggy is so concerned right now, because the idea of teaching the wrong person. If we teach the wrong person, then they could use your teaching and my teaching as a way to get out of different kinds of situations, which honestly makes sense. And so right now, you technically have Matt saying, don't worry, that's not going to happen at all. Now, here is the big thing though, because technically you have Foggy say, listen, I got a new case. And at first I was gonna say no, but I felt like you might say yes here. Now, you do have Foggy tell Matt what the case is all about. And right now, apparently, a kid, not really a kid, a young adult, was technically fired from his job. Now, here's the thing though, because in New York, companies can fire you for no reason. Like literally, they can fire you for no reason. But right now, this kid wants to prove that technically him being fired was just some huge mess up, like some huge mistake right now. It wasn't fair. Now, of course, for Matt, he's kind of like, that kid is out of luck because technically in New York, again, they can fire you for no reason. And so right now it's Matt wondering, why would Foggy think I would want this case? And you have Foggy tell Matt, because the kid is blind. And so you do have Matt Murdock actually pay a visit over to Austin Child, the new client who's right now also blind, but wants the help of Matt Murdock. Now, this is where we technically learn why Austin is right now asking for help from Matt Murdock. And we come to find out that Austin worked for a company known as Midas. And when it comes to Midas, apparently they were this big time company. But the reason why they hired Austin is because he was very fluent in 17 different kinds of language. And so of course he was a translator and he worked very hard for the company, and the company loved that. And at first it seemed like the company would never let him go. The company loved him a lot. But here comes the big problem though, because one day he was trying to impress some co-workers by saying that he is able to figure out who or what is being said right now, no matter the language at all. And so of course he saw two guys walk by and he told his co-workers he'll be able to figure out which country they actually came from. And he was able to figure out that they came from Latveria. Now, the reason why he got fired is because of that right there, because he overheard their conversation. Not completely, but just enough to figure out that they are from Latveria. And so because of that, he was actually fired. And that right there kind of says red flags across the board. Why did a company fire you? Because you overheard a conversation in another language. And even though you said you were trying to impress your co-workers, again, that right there is not right to fire you. And so right now it's Matt saying the company was trying to hide something, and they're trying to use Austin right now as a scapegoat or to keep him far away from danger. And so right after Matt had heard Austin's story, you have Matt technically be down with the idea of helping Austin out by saying, you know what, Austin, I'm gonna take your case, because it seems like right now technically something very fishy is happening right now at your old job, and it's up to me to figure out what in the world is going on. But as soon as Matt tells Austin yes to taking his case, well, outside Austin building, you have a bunch of snipers right now pointing their snipers right towards Austin and Matt, and getting ready to take their shots to kill off Matt, but to also kill off Austin as well. But getting into the second chapter of this storyline, we actually do pick up with a guy known as Mr. Zachary. Now, when it comes to Mr. Zachary, apparently he's some kind of big time monster, but at the same time, he's the one in charge of the actual company Midas. Now, here's the thing though, because right now we kind of find out that he's trying to make sure that some kind of big deal that his company is trying to accomplish actually goes through. Now here is another thing though, because when it comes to Mr. Zachary, he killed off the two guys who were from Latveria that was actually talking about this deal around, of course, Austin, to make sure there's no leaks at all about what this deal actually is, to make sure the deal actually goes through. Now here's the thing though, because then you have Mr. Zachary as another guy known as Randall. And when it comes to Randall, he was technically the boss of Austin. And right now is Zachary asking Randall, hey, Austin, do we need to kill him off? Now, this is actually very huge because we come to find out the reason why Randall had actually fired Austin was to protect Austin. Because Austin overheard the two people from Latveria conversation, it technically got him involved in this whole mess. And so Randall fired Austin as a way to protect him. The problem is though, when it comes to Randall, he wrote good notes about Austin at first, and then later on wrote bad notes. But of course, the good notes sound so great, it's kind of like, did you actually fire him because he was not doing his job? Or did you fire him because you are trying to protect him? Listen, we need to make sure this deal goes through. And so I'm going to make sure he's dead. And matter of fact, I just got word that he's right now talking to a lawyer, which of course could hurt us even more. So I'm going to make sure him and his lawyer are actually dead. And so that right there tells us where the snipers actually came from. And so the next few pages are really more pages where you technically see Matt Murdock being Daredevil without actually wearing the Daredevil outfit to make sure that Austin is not killed off by these snipers, and also helps Matt Murdock with Austin right now being blind as well and technically not having the same senses as Matt does. And so of course Matt is able to be Daredevil and actually protect Austin, but at the same time make sure that his secret identity is not blown. And so once he's able to actually take care of all the snipers, you have Matt say, we gotta get out of here because they're gonna send more people to make sure that you're dead. And I know the perfect place for us to go. And so of course you have Matt take Austin somewhere else safe, really to his own apartment, but at the same time though, it should be safe for the time being. Then we jump back over to Mr. Zachary, and honestly it's very brief, and the reason why, because you have Zachary finding out that his sniper team technically failed, and with them failing he's like, okay, you know what, I need to make sure there's someone out there who will be able to actually deal with this problem. And so of course that is the moment Zachary calls up a new character known as Bruiser, someone who could give Daredevil an actual challenge. And so of course he says yes, and he's on the job now. Now once Matt Murdock is able to get Austin back to his apartment, you have Matt right now trying his best to figure out what did Austin actually hear when it came to those two people from Latveria. What were they actually talking about? Now here's the thing, at first Austin keeps saying that he has no idea what they were saying because honestly he was not really listening in. He was just trying to hear what they were saying to learn what kind of language they were actually speaking. And so with that being said, is Matt saying, you know what, let us recreate the actual scene, because that could actually help jog your memories to the point where you could be able to actually figure out what in the world they were actually talking about. And so with that being said, you did have Matt do his best to recreate the actual day before, of course, Austin got fired. And with that happening, Austin was able to remember that technically the two people from Latveria were talking about Hydra. And that right there freaks out Matt a lot because now he knows Hydra is involved. And so that is the moment where we do jump over to Foggy. Now when we do, we actually pick up with Foggy right now over the house of Kirsten. Now, the last time we saw Kirsten, oh, by the way, she is the new DA of New York, but the last time we saw her, we were left to believe that technically her and Foggy are an actual couple. Now, in reality, they are not. But here's the thing though, we do kind of find out that technically Foggy is dating her roommate, Dina or Dinah. Matter of fact, guys, I saw this name spelled either way or pronounced either way, sorry. So anyone out there who says, no, it's pronounced like this, or oh, it's pronounced like that, I want to tell you right now, as a teacher, you see different kinds of names pronounced in different kinds of ways. And so when it comes to this spelling right here, I see it as Dina or Dinah. I'm telling you right now, I have seen I have met students who had names with the same spelling but pronounced in different ways. Either way, when it comes to Dina, she's right now technically the girlfriend of Foggy. And of course right now, you have Foggy right now trying to convince Kirsten to actually date Matt Murdock, because Foggy believes that Matt Murdock could actually be a great fit for her. But at the same time, she could be a great fit for him to kind of bring some happiness back into his life, especially after his divorce. And so right now, it's Foggy saying, hey, give it a try. And Kirsten is actually down to give it a try. But then we actually pick up with Randall. And right now, this is Randall trying to get away. And the reason why he's trying to get away right now, because he messed up. And what I mean by that is, when it comes to Randall, he was supposed to get rid of Austin, literally kill Austin. But of course, he tried to protect Austin because he actually did care for Austin like a son. And so because of that, he only fired Austin, not kill him. But because he had not fired them, they're kind of like, no, he has to die. We have to make sure none of this deal is actually leaked out. Now, of course, you have Randall right now trying to escape from all this mess by getting on a boat. But of course, he is confronted by Matt Murdock, aka Daredevil. Now, here's the thing. This is where technically we learn everything that's going on. And you have Austin tell Daredevil that when it comes to Midas, they have basically made a deal between heavy-hitting mega crime organizations like Hydra, AIM, Black Spectra, Zodiac, and others to incorporate their shell companies through Latveria. Because if they do that, that makes all their different companies technically untraceable. And so they're able to move money just like that without any kind of trace at all. And of course, that right there helps out the big time crime organizations a whole lot. And so of course right now it's technically Randall saying if that deal is actually accomplished, it's going to be a huge issue for the rest of the world when it comes to these different crime organizations. And so that is why right now Austin must die to make sure this deal actually goes through. The problem is though, Matt Murdock hears another boat coming up behind them. And so that is the moment where we kind of find out that technically it is Bruiser. He was on the other boat because we have to remember he was hired by Midas to basically, go after Daredevil, but to also close loose ends up to make sure nothing's leaked out when it comes to this deal. And so right now, his next goal is to come after Daredevil, to technically kill off Daredevil, but to also grab Randall and bring Randall back alive to Zachary and the other crime bosses who own different crime organizations and Marvel Comics. And so when it comes to the first battle between Daredevil and also Bruiser, Bruiser is able to actually win the battle like it's nothing and then throw Matt Murdock off the boat, grab Randall, and begin the process of taking Randall back over to Zachary and the rest of the evil bad guys in this storyline. And so then we get into the final chapter of this storyline, where we actually do pick up right now with Matt Murdock technically not down for the count, because he was actually able to hang on to the boat and actually ride with the boat to another bigger boat, where technically right now the evil organization known as Midas and of course the other crime bosses of different criminal organizations and Marvel Comics are meeting up at. Now, of course, when they all do meet up, of course, you have Matt Murdock begin the process of actually sneaking around and trying to see what in the world is actually going on and what can he actually learn by staying in the shadows. Now, once you have Randall be delivered over to Zachary and the other crime bosses, we kind of find out that technically Mr. Zachary here wants to make sure that all leaks of this deal is technically taken care of. So, of course, right now there are 3 leaks. That would be Randall, Austin, and of course Daredevil. Now, to our bad guys here, they believe that Matt Murdock technically has been taken care of. But of course, right now, that still leaves Randall and Austin as well. And we kind of find out that Austin was grabbed out of the apartment of Matt Murdock. They were able to raid the apartment, grab him, and bring him here. And so right now to Zachary, this is his big moment. He'll kill off Randall and of course also Austin to please the other crime bosses. But that is when you have Matt Murdock step in to protect Randall, but to also protect Austin. Now, you also have Bruiser step in to fight against Daredevil. Now, when it comes to Bruiser, his main goal right now is to fight the Hulk one day. But to make sure that he is actually ready to take on the Hulk, he's fighting against different heroes across the Marvel Universe. He's working his way up to his list, up to the point where he'll be able to fight against the Hulk. Now, with that being said though, when it comes to Matt Murdock, he does have a hard time defeating Bruiser. And the reason why, because when it comes to Bruiser, he's actually able to shift all the gravity in his body into one particular body part. And so of course, when he does move that gravity to his hand, it's like being hit with a wrecking ball. And of course, when he does move that gravity to his feet, he is hard to move. And so it does make him a very strong opponent. Now, you do have Matt Murdock being able to actually defeat Bruiser by hitting a very high stress point in his body. And of course, with doing that, Bruiser is defeated just like that. But that leaves Daredevil right now trying his best to get, of course, Austin and Randall out of this base and hopefully somewhere else that's actually safe. Now, here's the big thing though, because that is the moment where they're actually confronted by Zachary and the other crime bosses that own different kinds of crime organizations in Marvel Comics. Now, when it comes to these other crime bosses, they do kill off Zachary because technically he failed when it came to this deal. But right after he is killed off, that is the moment where we actually do see a Fantastic Four symbol button. Now, of course, this button is actually a USB drive or some kind of hard drive. And what I mean by that is right now, apparently, part of the deal is that technically on this hard drive is holding so many different information about different crime organizations in Marvel Comics. And so this hard drive is holding information about Hydra, about AIM, about Black Spectra, and the list goes on and on and on. And if this information does get out, it could ruin all different problems for the crime organizations. And so right now, it's Daredevil saying, I have my hands on this. And if you want to make sure that none of your information is leaked out to the world that could cause you problems down the road, you are going to let me leave along with my 2 friends here, Austin and Randall. And of course, you have the crime bosses say, you know what, maybe he is right. We should let him leave for now. But sooner or later, we are going to come back for you to get that hard drive, to get that information away from you and the possibility of other heroes as well. And the story really ends on that note right there, because at the end of the story, you actually do have right now Matt Murdock telling Randall to just go away, that technically he is not going to arrest Randall at all. And the reason why, because, well, 2 reasons. The first is that he does understand why Randall was trying to protect Austin from these bad guys. But at the same time though, this is Matt Murdock saying, at least I know that technically you will always be on the run, looking over your shoulder to make sure that the other crime bosses do not come after you, because with you being out there, you're technically a liability. You could ruin a lot of different things for these different crime bosses. And so of course right now is Matt saying, go ahead and leave, but just know you might die one day and that will please me. But at the same time though, at least you did one good thing here, protecting Austin. And that is where the story actually ends. And so with that being said, please leave me a like down below and subscribe. Also, if you have any suggestions on books I should read, well, please let me know in the comments below, because you never know, your suggestion could be a future video down the road. But guys, I'll see y'all next time. Later.